Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you can hear me, you can see me, and I hope you are excited for the Robotic Process Automation Developer Camp. And I know there's a lot of buzz going on of RPA DC, since the start of the January, and we have seen so many social activities, and there are people who want to start their journey with RPA, and I'm sure it's going to be a really awesome session. And before moving forward, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in on this Saturday morning and with the vision of learning more about RPA. I'll just take you through the agenda of the session today. So we'll start with what RPA is, how it's going, the current market trends, opportunities, some myth and facts around RPA, what really RPA is impacting in real life, and how we can improve that, how we can utilize it to our own benefit. And yes, so this is the quick overview of the session which we're going to have. We started RPA DC Robotic Process Automation Developer Camp with the vision to bring RPA to everyone and help everyone hello. I hope you guys can see me. You can hear me. Yes, it's working. I'm really sorry. There was a glitch in the matrix from my side. So, yes, we are going to have some social giveaways also. What you have to do, you already have received the badge, right? Just share it on social media. Just share about the session on social media. Tag the speaker, tag Uipath, tag Hack to Skill, and I'll be sharing few hashtags. And we'll be, selecting few giveaways from that. You will be receiving cool exclusive Uipath merchandise and Hack to Skill merchandise. So it's gonna be a like lucky draw. There are no prerequisites, but yes, we are gonna select few out of many. So without wasting time, I like to welcome our speaker, guest speaker, and who is really excited to start the session and be a part of this wonderful early morning on the weekend. Just let me add to the stream. I hope, Nidhi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I audible, Anuj?
Yes, you are audible. So before moving
Perfect.
forward, before the formal, good morning, good afternoon, I'll just introduce you. So we have Nidhi with us. She has been part of, integral UiPath community and has been contributing a lot. She's senior RPA developer at Citrix and UiPath MVP. So yes, my question, which I like you to take at the end of the session, your MVP journey. So even students can get motivated around that. And yeah, she has been contributing a lot to the RPA community. She's a RPA trainer. She trains people. Various resources, creating videos and supporting the community. So yeah, Nidhi, over to you. How
Thank you
you're
so
feeling?
much
And
for such a good introduction, Anuj. First of all, and I hope you guys are doing safe and you're doing okay. Thank you for joining this session, and a very good afternoon to all of you. So yes, we'll start with a quick introduction of RPA. What is RPA? We'll be covering everything. It's going to be a beginner session. So please feel free to ask any basic question in the chat window. I'll be answering at the end of the session. So as I said, let's start with our session now. I'll be sharing my screen, Anuj, so let me know if it's visible.
sure, just share it. I'll pull you up to the screen. Your screen is visible, Nidhi.
Okay, perfect. Cool. So, as I said, this is going to be an introduction section. We'll be seeing what is RPA, like why we need RPA, what are the benefits of using RPA, and is it something automation, something really new or never existed earlier, right? And what are the industry trends? What is the job market looks like for the RPA, right? So we'll be covering everything, and then we'll be looking at a quick demo of Uipath. We'll be creating a small robot using Uipath. So that's all about the agenda of today. And as I said, like you can ping your questions, your queries in the chat window, and I'll be taking at the end of the session. Okay, so let's start with the quick definition of what actually RPA means. So if you look at the theoretical concept of what is RPA, so the RPA stands for robotic process automation, right? So if you break down this term, robotic, as you simply means, it's a kind of robot, right? Process, something that you are doing, right? It's a combination of tasks that you perform, and automation is something, right? You are doing it automatically. So if you want to automate your process using a robot, this is something called as RPA, right? And in a day-to-day life, right, we interact a lot with the laptops, right, with the desktops, with mobile phones, and all of these stuff, all of these electronic devices, right? And we do a lot of manual and repetitive work in these applications or the softwares, right, which we do not want to do because this is something very much manual and repetitive, right, and boring as well. So to take the robot out of the human, this is where the RPA comes into the picture. So if I have to, tell the basic definition of what the RPA is. So RPA is the technology that enables a software program to mimic human actions while interacting with computer applications to accomplish required tasks, right? So as we said, this is a software program that helps to mimic the human actions while interacting with the computer application. So anything that you are doing on the screen, on the computer, on the laptop, right, this can be done by the robot on your behalf. You do not have to do it, right? So this is where the RPA comes, right? And some of the human interactions that can be automated using the RPA are the basic keyboard inputs, right? So if you are entering something into the application, right? You are filling up a form online, right? So you are typing a lot of information through keyboard inputs, right? So this can be easily taken up by a robot. You do not have to do it. Again, mouse clicks and the mouse movement. So you are clicking on the submit button, you are clicking on the login button, right? You are submitting anything on the website, right? You are adding your products to the cart. All of these mouse clicks and the mouse movements, right click, left click, everything that you do on the screen can be easily done by the robot. Similarly, reading computer screen. Now, if you're reading anything from the screen, you are checking the what is the current exchange rate of a particular currency, right? You are checking what is the current weather, right? You are checking for a particular product in the application, like what are the various versions available. So you're reading something from the screen, right? This can also be done by the robot on behalf of you, right? So this is the basic functionalities that RPA or the robotic process automation can accomplish and help you to do the boring, repetitive, and mundane task and let you focus on the more productive and the collaborative task, right? So this is a little introduction of like what is RPA and what it stands for. It is a technology, right? It is not a hardware. Robot is not a hardware. It's a technology, and it belongs to the software program, right? So it is nothing but a software program that is sitting on your laptop, on your desktop, on your systems, right? Now let's look at a basic picture which I recently came across on the Uipath social media handle, and this will be really funny and it will actually help you to see more about what the RPA is, right? So this is Ricky, and Ricky loves doing mundane, repetitive tasks, right? And Ricky never take leaves, days, vacations, or lunch breaks. So who is Ricky? Ricky is a robot. And don't be like Ricky. Be a human. Focus on more productive and collaborative tasks. Learn something new, right? Learn a new programming language, learn a new technology, learn a new software, right? Instead of doing something that can be easily taken up by a robot and does not require your brain to do a task, right? If you're simply doing a copy paste, right, you're copying something from the Excel and pasting it to the web application, right? You are copy pasting the assignments, right? You're filling up the form for the 100 students, right? Or you're onboarding 100 employees to a company, you are just filling up a form from an Excel application, right? So this does not require your brain. Let the robot do this task and you can focus on the more productive tasks, right? So this is just the brief of the RPA as a technology. Now, there's a myth about like when the term comes robot, right? We think of robots in terms of the hardware robots, like so these are the pictures that show you that please do not confuse yourself with the hardware robots. with the software robots. Okay, so the RPA is not walking and talking robots. It will not come to your desk and type something for you. No, it is a software program that is installed on your system, right? Warehouse robots, if you see these automatic robots which are hardware, these are not the RPA robots. And the human replacement bots, similarly you see so many automatic machines, right, in various departments and industries. Again, these are not the RPA robots. Again, I would repeat it again, it's a software robot. It's like any other software, you install on your machines. Now, since we know what is RPA, right, and what RPA is not, let's quickly see the benefits of RPA, right? So this is something that is going to clear your doubts about why also that why you need RPA, right? This particular slide, right? So the major advantages of the RPA adoption by a business are, if you see, increased. Okay, before I actually tell you about what is there on the screen, there are very basic things that we say that the RPA can do in terms of the benefits. One is speed, accuracy, time, and effort. This is something everyone counts on their fingers, and you can just go ahead and tell the benefits. It's speed, accuracy, time, and right efforts. So these are the major benefits the RP gives you. If I say increased execution speed, so something that a human can do in 10 to 15 minutes, the robot or the automation is able to do it within the few minutes, right? So even I'm a part of RP developer team, and I can see there is a major speed difference between how human is performing a task versus how a robot performs a task, right? So there's an increased speed when the RP is installed in a particular department or in a a university kind of. Then comes the enhanced accuracy. Again, when the RPA is doing a particular job, there will be an enhanced accuracy. There will be less human error. So if I'm typing something onto the screen, there are chances that I can do spelling errors, right? I can do any kind of errors on the screen while I'm typing or entering the data. There could be so much, right? Error prone. But when it comes to RPA, it is a pre-trained robot, right? It cannot do mistakes. If you are asking a robot to type a word, a sentence, or a number, or anything on the screen, it will every time type the same thing. It cannot make human errors, right? So enhanced accuracy, then improved regulatory compliance, right? So since there is less errors in your system, there are less errors in your task or the process that you're performing, so the regulatory compliance are improved, right? So if I'm telling you that you are doing an automation that is related to some banking and finance, right, which is a major and very critical department that uses RPA, right? And a small human error can be really costly to the department, right? So this is where the RPA actually helps you. The human errors are very much removed when you use RPA, right? So it improves the regulatory compliance of your automation or your processes, right? Then you have the reduced cost of process execution. Yes, you get so if suppose a task is being done by 4 employees, or I would say a 4 person, right? And while a single robot is doing it within 15 minutes, right? So there's a reduced cost of the process execution in terms of the employees. There are less employees that you use. Also, there is a time, right? Something that you're doing in 12 hours, now you're doing it within 15 minutes, or say a few more minutes, right? So with the increased time, you can actually perform more and more tasks, right? So the cost of process execution is also good. And then comes the easier scaling. So the robots can be easily scaled. So if I've for example deployed a bot in a HR for the onboarding of a particular employee, or onboarding of the employees, right? And if this robot is required to be used in other another departments as well, I can simply go ahead and install on their machines. But if you look at the human part, right, if you need the same functionality to be done in different departments, you will need more humans, right? So if 4 departments need to do the same job, you need 4 humans. But a single robot can be deployed on 4 departments, 4 machines easily. So scaling with the robots are very easy, right? So this comes the why we need RPA. Now this is something very much related to the RPA adoption by a business. I'll also highlight few of the benefits of the RPA that I have particularly, seen. So when we say, okay, RPA is something that is doing a good for a business. So what's it's for an employee, for a student, or some, or some person, right? So the RPA is popular because it's a win-win situation for both the parties, for both employee and for both also as well as for the employer. Now I'll tell you why. The employer can easily, in a particular industry, you can easily start the RPA because it always works on the presentation layer of a particular application, right? So if you want to start your RPA journey in a particular industry, or a particular company wants to start RPA, they do not have to tweak anything in their infrastructure, in their software, nothing. So RPA sits on your laptop and works on the presentation layer of your software. You do not have to do anything on the data layer or any other, right? So there is no tweaking or the infrastructure changes required. So this is very much, easier to install and get started, right? So that's why the employers or the industries are adopting RPA very quickly. So this is a difference between the previous automation, or we say the traditional automation. So if you want to ask a question, right, is it something new, or was automation existing earlier or not? Yes, automation was existing earlier. So there was a traditional automation, right? You do automation through Python, you do automation through C sharp, right? You can still do it, and RPA do the same thing, but a lot of benefits, as I said, right? With the Python and with the C sharp or any other coding language, you actually need to know a lot about the application, how it works, the backend of the application, right? Which you do not need to know if you're working with the RPA, right? So this is the benefit when it comes to the employer. Now, when it's come to the employee, right? Someone who is looking for a job in RPA, right? Someone who wants to learn RPA, right? Now, if you are a person from a computer science background or a technical background, you can easily code in Python and C sharp. But if your friend is in non-technical domain, a mechanical or electronics department, right? Can they also write a code in Python or C sharp so quickly that you can know, right? So for them or for you also, this is where the RPA comes into the picture. You can easily learn them within few months, and it's a low code platform. You do not have to be a very good in programming, but a little bit of technical concept should be clear in your mind. That's all you need, right? So it's a RPA for all. Anyone can get started with the automation journey if you are from a technical or a non-technical background, right? And you have enough opportunities, we have job market open, so that's why it's a win-win situation for both of them. I guess we have spent a lot of time on this slide. Let me move to the next one. Now let's see what robots can do, right? So these are the basic things the robots can actually do. This is just a basic one. There are more capabilities of what robot can do. So one is login into the application. So if you're coming and log into the various applications as part of your job, the robots can easily do it, right? If you're moving files and folders, if you're part of, again, I'll take example of HR departments, right? You are handling a lot of resumes, right? If you are in universities, right? If you are taking mark sheets of so many students, right? So you want to move these files, you want to zip them, you want to send them, rename, move, whatever you want to do with files and folders, you can easily do it with the robots, right? You do not have to read and write to databases. Again, this is what robots can easily do. If you are working with the relational databases or any other databases, the robots can easily interact with them. Then we have the scrap data from the web. So this is what we have already discussed. So if you want to read something from the web page, right, the robots can easily do. If you're entering some you can say some information for a student, right, and then you want to actually see the final score of the final attendance of the students, and then copy paste into some another portal or the application, so you can read it from one web page and paste it back to another web page or the Excel. So you can easily read the data from the web as well. Now connect to system APIs. So this could be a little technical in terms of the what we mean by APIs, right? So if you think that the robots can only interact with the UI or the user interface of the application, that's true. But it also has the capability to interact through the APIs, right? So if you have various APIs, you can easily call them from the software robots. So for the easy execution and for a quick executions, right? Then we have the extract content from documents, PDFs, emails, and forms. Similarly, if you are working with the structured data, and if the data is in the digital format, and the digital format is either PDF, emails, or forms, you can easily read it, right? So if there's a PDF with the invoice details, right? You can easily read that information and put it into the application. If you are reading the emails, again, I would take the examples of the HR department, right? You're getting so many emails, right, from the to the candidates. You have to send so many reminders, you have to send them the URLs to take the exam, and so many things you have to do, right? And you also receive so many CVs and resumes in your email, right? So you can easily manage them, read them, download, save the attachments, move them, anything you can do, right? Similarly with the forms, the next one is same, open email and attachments and make the calculations. You can also make the basic calculation or the decisions using the software robots, right? So if not this, then what, right? Or the basic mathematical and arithmetic calculations you can easily do using the robots, right? So these are the basic capabilities of the what the software robots can actually do for you. Again, as I said, there are so many advanced capabilities. You can integrate machine learning, you can integrate artificial intelligence, right? So there's a lot more to explore for you. You can just go ahead and start. Now, let's see what are the use of RPA in business, right? So this particular slide actually talks about what are the major departments in the industry that are using RPA, or the robotic process automation. So if we look at education, supply chain, IT, HR, client services, accounting, and the operations, these are few of the departments that are extensively using RPA. Correct. So if we take a example of education, right? So the enrollment process, right? Attendance robot. We have the scheduling meeting robots, classroom and online learning, answering queries, library robots, right? And also with everything being now virtual, even the education department is getting very much equipped with the RPA. So earlier there was so much of paperwork. I still remember in my time, right? The admin cell, the IT cell, the placement cell, everything. I mean, they all used to do manual and the paperwork, right? But everything being virtual, now even they understand the the benefits of using RPA or the automation in their areas. Again, coming to the supply chain, we have inventory management and the invoice and contract management. Again, with the IT, we have server and app monitoring. With the HR, we have payroll, onboarding and offboarding, and many other in the other departments, right? So to take a better look at the RPA in business, I'll share a quick video with you that will give you more clarity. Um, Please let me know if the voice would be audible to you for this particular video. I'll just play the video. Okay, so that was short story of the Uipath and how they are actually using or installing or enabling the various departments for the RPA, right? So you saw it. It could be a legal department, it could be an IT department, education department, right? There is RPA everywhere, and it can be used easily, right? So with that, let's move to a next slide. Okay, so it comes now the RPA growth and opportunities, right? So we have been talking about the RPA is a booming industry. It's a hottest skill, right? So how about the growth and opportunities? How the RPA future looks like after a few years, right? So these slides talk about those numbers, and all of these numbers are from these trusted sources. So you can actually rely on these numbers. So if you look at the future of work, now you can see the number is 97 million, right? So by 2025, 85 million jobs may be replaced by 97 million new roles with new division between human machines and algorithms, right? So now you can see how the future of work in 2025 looks like. So right after 3 years, still you have a very good future and scope of the RPA, right? And look at the RPA market and the size of the growth, right? The 40.6% is what the growth of the RPA market is being showed or has been, predicted. Now comes to the rapid business transformation. 84% of employees are set to rapidly digitalize working processes, right? So this is a huge number when it comes to the rapid business transformation, right? Now comes to the increasing job demand. This is something I guess most of you would be interested in. Increasing job demand, 40% growth per annum. If you look at, so robotics engineer is the number two emerging job in the US with 40% annual growth. And this is something even I can say, right? When since I have been the RPA developer for like past 4 years, there are job markets that is open for the RPA positions a lot, and I do get a lot of job invites, and there are plenty of jobs in the market that you can apply and go ahead. So the job demand is really huge, not in US but also in India, everywhere in the country. All right, so this is, I personally would say, right, it's a very good or a hot market for the RPA. Now comes the well-paying jobs. Since it is a hottest skill, it is one of the trending skill, right? If you look at the various reports of Gartner or any other, you know, you will actually know that this is one of the well-paying jobs right now, right? So the majority of RPA salaries in the US, you can actually see it on the screen, right? So these are the just numbers which one of the organization would have taken the survey on. But from my personal experience as well, I would say the RP is really a good, well-paying job for you. So if you're actually worrying about if it's a worth of stepping into the RPA or starting ahead with the RPA, I'll still give you a thumbs up. Please don't worry, do not hesitate. Learn RPA and get into the RPA, and plenty of jobs are there, and they are well-paying jobs, right? Now comes to the daily active RPA job postings. So this is like 5,000 active Uipath RPA developer job postings in the US, and only 1 out of 8 are being filled, right? So now you can see how many jobs are there and how many gap between the skill and the demand is there. You can see 1 out of 8 are being filled, right? So still there is a lot of demand for the RPA developers, RPA consultant, RPA business analyst. Do not think that you want to stick to a particular developer domain. If you're interested in being move into various other domains, you want to be a business analyst, please go ahead and take the business analyst path and learn the skills that you want to do. If you do not want to be if you want to be a developer, learn that particular skill. So there are various areas within the RP also that you can choose and you can start working with, right? So if you love the client facing roles, right, you do not want to sit on a laptop, you want to code or you want to develop anything, right, go ahead with the business analyst, right? So this is about the RPA growth and the opportunities. Now, why choose RPA as a career? Now, this particular graph, now you can actually already see the difference between the jobs, right? The jobs available in the RP industry by 2025. So after 3 years, this is the estimation you can see. And now this should be sufficient enough to show you why you should be choosing RPA as your career. I mean, I have been to RPA for 4 years, and I have seen tremendous growth in myself and within my career as well. So I can completely say that, yeah, by 2025, I can assume that this is going to be the growth, right? Now, why UiPath, right? So we have been talking about what is RPA, why RPA, what RPA is not, where RPA can be used, right? How it is different from the traditional automation, right? What is there in the job market and all, right? So for the RPA, there are various vendors, there are various softwares, right? And one of the, I would say, the major vendor of RPA, the major software is the Uipath, right? So why Uipath? Uipath was voted as number one on G2 for RPA and low code category in all the four regions, right? So it's a leader in the RPA industry. If you want to learn RPA, you can go ahead and start learning the Uipath tool, right? So Uipath is a tool that helps you to automate, right? So RPA is a technology and Uipath is a tool that helps you to automate. Okay, these are the two various or different concepts, I would say. Correct. So you can get ahead or you can get started with the Uipath, right? Go ahead, install it on your systems, take their diplomas, take their certifications, and do the hands-on sessions, everything, right? And you can start your RPA journey. Now, again, the another slide shows you again why UiPath. UiPath named a leader with the highest ranking in current offering, strategy, and RPA market presence categories, right? So again, this is one of the graphs that actually shows you why UiPath is a leader, right? The other RPA vendors you can see Automation Anywhere, Microsoft, Nice, WorkFusion, Blue Prism. These are also other RPA vendors which are there in the market, and they also comes into the strong performance challengers or the leaders categories. But UiPath have been majorly ranked as a leader in the RPA. So yes, it's a good reason to get started with the UiPath, right? Now let's talk a little bit about UiPath as a platform, right? So when I say UiPath tool, what are the major components of UiPath? So there are three major components which the UiPath gives you. One is called UiPath Studio, right? So this is a design automation workflow where you visually, create your automation workflow, and it's a low code platform. So with a minimal use of the code, right? So this is Studio is where you actually create your robots or where you design your robots, right? It's a kind of low code platform where you can create a flow chart, a sequence, right? How do you want the robot to perform the task? So this is where you create, right? Now where do you deploy these automations? You deploy them on the orchestrator. So orchestrator is there another core component. And what is the purpose of orchestrator? It's control, manage, and monitor the robots, right? So you can, it's a centralized mechanism from where you can easily manage all your robots. You can schedule them, right? So if you want that you should not be triggering your robot, you can simply schedule that, but that by today 5 p.m. my robot should trigger automatically and do my job, close my laptop, and send the email, done, right? So you could be just anywhere, and if you are scheduling your robot, it will go ahead, log into your system, do your task, log off, and it will send the reports to you or to whoever you want to send, right? So this scheduling can be done through the orchestrator. Again, as I said, you can control it and you can manage it. Manage in terms of in which machine you want to run, right? At what particular time you want to run. This is comes under the scheduling, right? All of this can be easily done in the orchestrator. Now, who executes these robots, right? Studio is where you create, but who runs it? The robots are the actual components that run your software robots. So these execute workflows and the instructions. So these are the basic core components that the UiPath gives you to create a software robot and get started with the RPA, right? So keep these three components in mind: Studio, Robot, and Orchestrator. You create using Studio, you run through Robot, and you manage through Orchestrator. That's all you need, right? Now this is how the UiPath Studio looks like. This is a basic, you can see it has activities. You can simply drag and drop on the flow charts, right? So this is where the developers design their automation, right? And it's, you do not need any coding skills. Let me tell you, you can easily get started, right? And this is how the orchestrator looks like, right? So you can see it also gives you the overall dashboard of how you are managing your robots, right? How many your transactions were executed successfully, how many transactions were executed, not executed, failed, how many items are in progress, right? Everything you can monitor here, right? So these gives you a quick dashboard, right? You can see, you can manage your passwords here, which are saved in a credential vault, so they are secure. You are not sharing it with anyone, right? So this is what the orchestrator looks like, and it gives you the flexibility to control, manage, and schedule your robots, right? The third component is the robot. It's too much on the screen, but I'll quickly brief you about the robots. As we said, this is what the software that runs your automation, right? So there could be various combination of robots. The robot is either attended or unattended. Attended, it means of when you go ahead and trigger the bot manually, right? Unattended, when you can actually schedule it and the bot automatically runs from its own, right? So these are the two types of robots, attended and unattended, right? Both have their own pros and cons and their own areas of application, correct? So attended robot is used when I need some input from the users also, right? So for example, I trigger the robot from my machine, right? And then I have to enter something before the robot moves ahead to the next step, right? So I provide the input and then the robot can move to the next step, right? So this is where the attended robots can actually be helpful. Unattended, when there is no human intervention required. From A to last step, everything can be done without the human intervention, right? And also the hybrid robots are there. It means the combination of both. You can also use the combination of both. So there are various possible combinations with these kinds of robots, right? Now, this is how you can get started. You can install the Uipath. There are two profiles in this studio. Let me tell you. One is called Studio, second is called Studio X. Studio X for the complete beginners with no coding language, or sorry, no programming or the coding language knowledge, while the studio is for little technical users who know what are variables, who know what are arguments, how to pass or initialize variables, what is loop concepts and everything, right? So if you're a little more towards the technical part, you can get a head start with the studio. If you are not familiar very much with the programming concepts, you can get started with the Studio X, right? So these are the steps you can follow. Now let's go ahead and build a very quick automation. I'll share you, so you can also actually see how the studio looks like. So this is your Studio X, right? UiPath Studio X. So this is how it looks like. This is your designer panel. This is where you create your flow chart in the sequence how you want the robot to perform the task, right? Let's do one thing. We are going to use this particular application, right? So in most of the cases, right? So if you are onboarding a new students to a particular department, right? So you, maybe your admin departments fill up a form for all of them, right? When the exams come in, they have to fill the examination forms for all these students, right? So you have to fill the basic information and click on the submit for each and every student, if you remember, right? This is a very much manual and repetitive, right? How easily the bot can do it, let me show you, right? So since you want to interact with the web page, there is something called as use application or the browser. You will simply drag it here. Done. Now it says indicate application to automate. I'll click it. It will show me this particular green sign, right? Click to select the application. I'll do a left click and it has already taken the URL. I didn't type or anything. It is automatically connected with this particular web browser. Now, next thing that I want to do is I want to type in these fields, right? So let's start with the first name, and there are activities that helps you to achieve this, right? You can easily see them. They have been grouped according to the which application you want to interact with. So first is type into. So I'll quickly take type into. I'll drag it inside this particular use browser. Indicate in Chrome. This is the first name. This is where I want to type. So this is my target and this is my anchor, right? So anchor is this. Now let me tell you, anchor is that helps you to uniquely identify a particular element. So if you see, there are plenty of these, what do you say, entry or the fields, right? These blank spaces, right? And they are all common. How would the bot identify in which particular field I have to type? For this, we are giving a particular anchor that the box just below the first name is where you have to type. So I'll say confirm. That's all. Now, what you want to type? Click on plus button, text. I want to type the name of student. Press save. Now, again, I'll use a type into. Similarly, we'll do for the others. Let me say role in the company. This is my target, and this is the anchor. Confirm. What is the role in the company? I'll say engineer. Press save. Again, I'll type into, let me say a company name. This is again the target that it is identifying, and this is the anchor. So the company name would be, say, Uipath. Save. Again, I type into, and again I'll indicate, say the last name. This is the target, and this is the anchor. And I press confirm, right? I'll simply say text. The text I want to type is this, the last name, and then I'll take again a type into, and let's say a phone number, and this is the anchor. I'll press confirm. Again, I'll take a text. The phone number could be anything, right? And then we have the address. I'll go ahead with the address also. And so this is how we will be actually doing it manually, going to each field one by one and entering information for everyone, right? So imagine all of these type into what we will be doing it manually. But we just need to, script it once and we can run it multiple times anytime if you want to submit a form, right? It's just a one-time job. Um, this is the address, and let me say the email. This is the target, and this is the anchor. I'll say confirm, and let me type the email. That's not my actual email. Okay. And now last thing we have to do is click on this particular submit button. For this, it's very obvious that we need a click activity, right? And just drag it after the type into, make sure that the sequence is correct. You do not put click before the email, right? So I'll say submit. Since there is a single button, right? There are no multiple buttons. So we'll keep the target as it is. We do not need an anchor in such a case, right? We are doing a single left click. Now let's see if the bot is going to do this for us. So the bot has started. It will enter the first name, the role, company, and then the last name, the phone number, the address, and the email, and then press the submit button, right? So this is something that we did for one user. Now suppose if you have to repeat it for multiple users, how much time consuming and manual and boring it would be. So you can easily do it through the automation. I've hard coded these values, but you can read it from the Excel, multiple records, hundreds or thousands, and you can automate, put it in the loop, and it will do this particular job for thousands of students, right? So this is a quick demo of the RPA capabilities, right? I'll now hand over to Anuj for the further session. Anuj, are you there? Am I audible?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Anuj, I can hear you now.
Actually, I was speaking on mute.
No worries. Yeah,
Great. Um, just give me a sec.
sure,
Yes. So I guess I'll just remove the screen and we'll come back. Great session. Really enjoyed personally, and I guess we have a lot of questions in the chat. Before moving
sure.
forward with it, I'll just take the all the people who are attending, all the students, and all our beloved community members to watch the process and what's the thing that they need to complete. So just give me a second. I am sharing my screen. Guys, as Nidhi has already taken you through the academy where you can learn, where you can start your journey with RPA. So the basic certificate, which diploma which you have to complete is introduction to RPA. I'm just sharing my screen. I hope it's visible. Yes, yes, it should be live. So this is the website which you all have. Just click on the dashboard. It will take you to the dashboard where you have all the resources, documentations you need. Just go through the PPT if you require, but I think you won't require. Just copy this link. This is a direct link to the course which you need to complete. Open a new tab, paste it, go to it. So this is introduction to RPA. So whatever Nidhi has taken you through that, is a part of this course, and it adds few more technical terms which you need when you're starting a journey with RPA. My course is already completed, so in place of completed, here it will be start learning. Click on that, complete the course. It's quick, 1 hour, but being honest, it will hardly take half an hour to complete because you have already attended this session. Complete it. At the end, we have a quick 10 MCQs which you need to complete, and then you need to download your diploma. There are two ways to get your diploma. One, you can download it, or you can send it, on your email. Just click on this. Your diploma will download. The process will initiate. So this is how your diploma will look like. It's loading. Yeah. So this is a diploma of completion. Mine is backdated because I completed it last year when I was, creating the documentations and stuff for RPDC. So just download this one and then go back to the dashboard, click on submission, click on browse, and select the file wherever it's downloaded, right? Click on the t-shirt size and submit. So when you submit, we'll get your entry, we'll cross verify, we'll get back to you with the details you need to fill in, to get your Uipath swags, and then we are done. So I hope the whole process of this was understandable. Just then, don't forget to join our community. We have a very diverse community which we're building with different mentors, and I hope you guys will be excited for that. So yeah, this is it from our side. I guess now we can hop on to the questions which we have. We have many questions. Start with the end. Good morning. Good morning. Excited. So people were really excited, maybe.
Oh, I'm happy that on the weekend so many people have joined and they have actually, learned the
Yes.
RPA. So,
So I'll just bring up questions on the screen. You can just see there, and you can start answering. So this is one of the most basic questions, and which I had in my mind when I started RP long way back.
okay, is it possible that RPA replace humans? As I said in the starting, right? They are not to replace humans, but they are here to take the robots out of human, right? The human are still going to do a better job, right? They are going to new skill, they are going to learn new skill, doing something better, right? Brainstorming ideas, learning new things, and doing something which does not need a kind of repetitive and a boring thing, right? So no, the RP is not going to replace the humans, but it is going to give a better job to them, right? So no human wants to do the same thing. They come to the office, they log into the application, they just do all of this kind of boring stuff, right? So again, the same thing. They will be taking the robots out of the humans. They are not going to replace them. What are
I
the
guess we
main
covered this in the presentation, right? Some of the use cases around this.
Yes, yes. Main use cases solved by RPA for architect and the developers. What are the main use cases? Okay, so the architect and the developers are the two roles, right, in the RPA industry, right? So the developer is actually responsible for creating the robots, and the architect is actually responsible for creating the solution of how the robot is going to look like, right? The overall solutioning is what the architect do, right? How many modules would be there, how they would be interacting, right? How the input sheet would be looking like, how the output would go to the person, right? So all of this architectural level is what the architect do, while the developer is the coder or the actual person who is creating the robot. So these are the two roles that the RP industry gives you. And yeah, I mean, the main use cases would be different for both of them, right? The developer is actually sitting on the studio
Yeah.
creating the bots, while the architect is actually the one interacting with the business person, the client, what they want, how they want, right? And also they also interact a lot with the orchestrator, right? So these are the two different areas where they actually play a role.
Nidhi, if you don't mind, I'll like to take this question. So
Please.
yes, we can make career in RPA, and training is free. Now, if you want to know more about how to, start a journey with RPA jobs and internships, and how can score more around that field. So we have a session on 29th. It's gonna be around RPA jobs and internships, and how you can get more. So feel free to join that. We'll be sending you details for the same session over the mail. So, yep, we are moving to the next one.
Okay, what is the relationship between the OOPS concepts and Uipath? So the OOPS concepts are very much helpful, right? When you understand the programming languages, right? So for any programming language, the OOPS concept is the basic that you have to learn, right? And yes, it actually helps you to create your robot in the UiPath, because if you know the concept of reusability, if you know the concept of polymorphism, abstraction, right, all of these concepts are actually the pillars of every development, right? So if you're creating your robots also, right, so if these comes under kind of, I would say, a good coding practices, so you can still create the robots without the OOPS concepts, right? Or I would say the object oriented programming concepts, right? But still, if you're following Luke's concept, it's a kind of a good coding practices that you
Add
can
on
achieve
basically
in
when
the
you build
robot,
bots,
right?
right?
Sorry,
It's a very big add on. It gives you edge when you're making the bots.
making the bots, right? It makes you a good developer. So yeah, if you're familiar with the OOPS concepts, you are going to be a very good RPA developer, I would say. That's
So we'll move on to the next one.
I am an automobile engineer. I'm doing a certification in RPA path. Can you please provide any information to start my career as fresher RPA developer? I really need a
I guess
job
it
right
will
now.
be better to join the session on 29th because that's specifically around RPA jobs and internships. And Syed, who is the UiPath MVP and have been in industry for like 12 years, will be joining in and will be taking that session. So feel free to join that, Manthan. We'll send you the details. Then we have Nehal's question: are there remote jobs? We will be doing that 29th. So yes, I guess there's a bit confusion here between the studio orchestrator.
Yes, yes. So these are not the three different tools. Aside, as I said, these are the three main components of UiPath that helps you to create your robots, manage it, and run it. Right. So if you are creating your code in Python, right? So you have a PyCharm, right? Where this is where you actually write your code. Then you have some different software that actually runs your Python script, right? You need a different kind of software that has to be installed. Similarly, Visual Studio, if you're creating your C Sharp code, Visual Studio is actually helping you to, create your code, or this is called the IDE. This is where you write your code, but the actual software behind that runs the C Sharp code is again different. Similarly, for the UiPath Studio is where you create your flowchart or the workflow. Robots is what runs these flowcharts for you. And orchestrator is third thing that helps you to manage it it's a kind of centralized web portal where you can actually, manage or schedule all of these robots. I would say Orchestrator is completely optional. It is not a kind of mandatory component, but the studio and the robot are the two mandatory core components of UiPath.
Happy projects. So
Um,
I'll just like to tweak this question most interesting and innovative. If you don't mind, Bablu Kumarji, what was the most fun bot which you have created? Like you had fun while creating and you had fun while watching it work. I guess that will come under interesting and innovative category also. But I wanted to add that term fun bot.
okay, so this is for me, right? I have to tell you the fun part.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I do a lot of, I would say, for me personally, the first interesting bot that I created was for the hackathons, I would say. So I participate a lot in the hackathons, right? And my first bot was related to the cyber security, the bot, RPA bot in the cyber security. That was something really fun because I had never had a chance to work with the cybersecurity guys, and this was something kind of very new concept for me as well, right? So brainstorming with like what are the cybersecurity concepts and creating a bot, that was something kind of very huge or something kind of very good for me. I really enjoy it. And yes, I do in my day-to-day life, I create bots for myself. Let me tell you, if I have to clean up my Gmail, yes, I have a bot for that to clean up my Gmail because most of the time I'm out of storage or something, right? So yes, I just keep using the robots in my day-to-day life.
I have a counter question on this. You said that your first bot was around like cybersecurity. So literally, your first bot was around cybersecurity because whenever someone starts, their journey sharing first, was it's gonna be around like mail automation or Excel automation, which is in the initial course of academy.
Yes. So I would say I was not familiar with the cybersecurity concepts. So I had few person who were cybersecurity experts. So they actually told me the concepts of those. I was the one who was actually developing the bots, right? How to interact with the ADs or the Active Directories and all, right? How to fetch the users from the Active Directory and all of these, right? How to check what all access they have, right? And all of these things, right? So it is something very interesting for me also. So yes, this is one of the first robots of my hackathons, I would say. Not the very first robot of my RPA career. That was very, very basic, I would say. The first, but yes, it was very basic.
I created WhatsApp automation as my first bot.
Same here. I did not want to tell this, but yes, I was so excited like how it's gonna do with the WhatsApp and all. But yeah, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, this is what I have started with or explored.
Hmm, I did that because of I remember Holi, like send personalized message to everyone ki hello Nidhi, happy Holi.
Yes.
So I guess we
This
should
is
move on to
something
the
we
next
don't
question.
want to do.
Ha, but eventually it was fun doing it.
Yes.
So we have a question, ma'am. Do you teach RPA at Uipath?
I do not teach RPA at Uipath. I am a most valuable professional from the Uipath, right? So yes, I do not work directly as an employee with Uipath, but yes, in collaboration with Uipath, I do various sessions and the trainings, just like the one we are having it right now.
Hmm,
So yeah, this is how I teach RPA through these sessions.
cool. I'm a fresher currently doing computer vision. Is there any project on robotic vision? I'll be glad to contribute.
Currently doing okay. You're a fresher and doing computer vision. Okay. This is very interesting. This actually comes into the advanced concepts of the RPA. So I would suggest why not explore AI Center from Uipath. This is one of the products that they have that has the capabilities of machine learning and the artificial intelligence. So I would say you can go ahead and explore that particular tool. And when it's come to the contribution, you can actually, I would say, submit your use cases on the UiPath's website. So there is something called as use case repository for UiPath. So if you know any good use case, you can submit it there. But if you want to create a robot using the computer vision, you can definitely do it. And you can just explore, I would say, the AI Center, which is one of their advanced tool or I would say advanced product. And yes, there are ongoing hackathons. If you go to the LinkedIn, I may not be able to mention it right now, but there's so many ongoing hackathons, and this is the actual season of hackathons. I remember January, February, March is where I used to struggle, or I used to do a lot of hackathons. So they are still ongoing hackathons. This is how you can contribute, definitely.
To move on, we have the next question. As you mentioned, RP works on application layer, not on other layers. So could you throw some more light on this?
Okay, sure. So as you can see it from the what I showed the demo just now, right? So it was all at the UI layer, right? Which is something I would say a presentation layer, right? This is where you were interacting while you were creating your software robots, right? And also, as I said, it is not limited to the UI or the presentation layer only. You can also go through the APIs or the application programming interface, right? So you can also use the APIs to automate a particular application. But the basic concept of the RPA is that you do not actually have to know what is the backend of a particular application, right? If being a non-technical person, right, I do not know what is the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or whatever Node.js, or any of the web development programming languages. I do not have to know all of these languages, so, right? I simply know like what is the basic RPA concepts, how to create a bot, right? That's all I need to do. So this is where I said that the RPA actually works on the UI layer. What you are seeing right now on the screen is what you are automating. You know this is a submit, or this is a I would say button. This is a text box. This is a radio button. That's all you have to know. You do not have to know the actual, the attributes of that particular button, right? On click submit, what is the function it is calling? You do not have to know it. So the backend is what it can be kept hidden from the RPA developer. But for the other automations, yes, you may have to know it. So that's one of the perks of being an RPA developer for a person like me who doesn't love coding a lot.
So we have one question here. So what is the path of learning robotics vision?
Okay, it's a little confusion of robotics vision.
Yeah,
What is the
I guess it
path?
makes your computer vision and robot RPA, like robotics vision.
Okay. So CV, or as I said, the computer vision, right? It's a kind of again advanced concept that helps you to read, I would say, the semi-structured data, right, or data from the images, right? So as I said, AI Center is one of their products that is very much popular for all of these concepts. You have something called as document understanding. So document understanding is what helps you to read the data from the images, from the scanned PDFs, and all of these things, right? So you can go and explore that particular tool or the product, which is AI Center, and within the AI Center, you have the model called document understanding. So that's what I would suggest. How do we test the bots? Do we need the testers for this? Yes, we do test the bots. I was a tester also. So as I said, there are various roles in the RP industry. If someone has created a bot, we also need to test the robots if they're actually doing what they're supposed to do. Are they not touching any sensitive data, right? Are there not any hard coded parts or something that is visible to the user or the business person or any other person, if all the information is masked properly or not, right? So all of these
Hmm.
testings, yes, we do, right? So there is a complete life cycle of RPA, just like any other, I would say, development, software development. So it starts with the I would say, the requirement gathering. There's someone called as business analyst who requires or I would say gather the requirement from the client, what they actually want to automate. Right. Then comes the solution architect who actually creates an overall solution of the how the robot is going to be, what is going to input output format, how to schedule it, what is going to the various modules, how they will be talking, where we are going to store the information, where it's going to be the passwords, how many robots we need, how many machines we need, right? The basic architecture is prepared. Then comes the developer who is going to actually code or create the robot. Then comes the tester who is actually going to test your robots. Now, even the testing has been automated, right? So we have something called as test suite from the UiPath itself. So that helps you to test your bots automatically. So this is what the advanced concepts are keep coming, right? So there's a lot more to explore. So even you do not need the manual testers to test your robots. You have the RPA suite who can test your robots. And definitely that after that that comes the support for the RPA. So when the RPA or the robots are live and someone is using it, there's still someone called as a support engineer who keeps monitoring how the bot is performing and if there are no faults in the bot that are live in the production. So these are the various stages of the life cycle of the RPA development. I will say
Pretty well explained, and I guess we are, already running late. We are over time by like 7 minutes. We have few more questions, but the question which I see right now is more on to like specific to the RPA process mining and most selling projects. So I guess we can do a separate session with Nidhi in the upcoming near future on her projects. That will be more
sure.
interesting, I suppose. And till then, like I'll just take on few common questions. Can a RPA project be done as a final year project? Yes, it can be done. And my final year project was a RPA project eventually, and it's currently running in the accounts department right now. Just humble brag. So, so I guess this would be the last question of this session. What's in UiPath MVP? And it was my question also. How can we become a UiPath MVP?
Okay, MVP is kind of most valuable professional. So it's a recognition, or I would say the highest recognition from the UiPath that they gives you for your contribution in the UiPath community, right? So again, I would say it is not an award, it is not a certificate, but it's a recognition. You have been recognized for what you have been doing to help community to learn or I would say evangelize RPA and Uipath specifically, right? So what is the path that looks like to the Uipath MVP is, I would say, if you are a YouTuber, if you're creating good YouTube videos, right? It does not matter you have so many subscribers, so many views, but you are continuously putting up your content on the YouTube, right? If you're YouTuber and you are helping community to learn even the basic concept, it does not mean you have to be putting up very advanced concepts, right? If you want to do a basic session of what is RPA, like for a particular student or a particular community, for a freelancers or anyone, right? Create very basic playlist also, that should be enough, but start contributing and you should be continuous. It should not be like you're breaking, like you put up 20 videos in a month and then you take a 1 year of gap and then you come up and put 20 videos again. You have to be continuous in your journey a little bit, right? So that you are visible on the, I would say, your path community. People are going ahead and asking you, and people look up to you, right? So again, as I said, for that you do not have to do very advanced things. You can also put up the very basic things also that is helping a student, right? That's all okay. Again, if you're creating blogs, you are writing blogs on the UiPath, RPA, right? If you're not very much good with, I would say, creating videos, you do not have time that much, but you are good in writing, right? And you love to write things, right? Then create blogs and put up on the any of the blogging platforms. But I would suggest there is something called as your path's own community blogs. So they are open, right? You just put your ideas, what you want to write about, right? And then they'll approve the idea and you can actually submit your blogs and it'll appear on the UiPath community website. So it's like, now you can see how easy and approachable all the process is all about, right? So you can create your blogs out there. Again, if you think that you have learned a good concept and you want to go ahead and show it to the community, and then you have the community session that keeps coming. So if you want to contribute to sessions, right, you can register, and as a speaker you can register as a speaker and actually teach in a particular session. So there, I would say, there are certain websites from the UiPath that can help you in the becoming the UiPath MVP. The first thing you have is the community.uipath.com. This is where we collaborate, right? This is where you can submit your blogs. This is where you can register for an event or a session. This is where you can go ahead and speak at the event, right? So being everything at virtual, you can go ahead and speak in any of the chapters, not like a Delhi chapter or a Mumbai chapter. Like there are various chapters, right? So you being virtual, you can go ahead and talk into any of the chapters, right? And then you have the Uipath forum. Go ahead, ask queries in the Uipath forum, answer queries. So the basic concept is be visible, make some noise, be it on LinkedIn, be it on the sessions, Uipath community sessions, through blogs, through YouTube videos. People should recognize you as someone, as a face of UiPath. Someone can reach out to you for your queries or anything, right? So that's what I would suggest. It takes to be UiPath MVP, but again, I would say do not make it a target that that you do everything just to become the MVP. Just do it because you want to help people and you want to learn and collaborate, right? There are again various other ways you can go. You can participate in hackathons. UiPath hackathons keep coming. That again makes you very much visible. That's how even I started my journey. As I said, the first robot that I created, right? So that the cybersecurity bot, and that hackathon is what I was in first runner up, right? And that's how I introduced with the Airpath community. That gave me more exposure to how many people are there in the community. I started talking to them. I just ping them on the LinkedIn. I just talk to them, share ideas. Do you want to collaborate? Do you want to write blogs with me? And anything, right? So if you're interested in all of these stuff, that is a path to UiPath, and maybe it's something that you love to share. If that is something you have in within you, then that's all you can do.
I guess that marks the end of the session. Thanks a lot, Nidhi, for taking out time, on the Saturday morning, and thanks a lot everyone for joining in on this session. It was really great to see, so much engagement, so many questions, and I was thinking that there would be few people, but we had a lot of people asking so many questions, and we missed out few questions. Feel free to join our community. We have RPA mentors; they'll take on your questions directly there. And I have already shared the LinkedIn of Nidhi. Nidhi, if you have anything else you want to share, your YouTube or your Twitter, you can directly drop it in the chat. And yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm really excited to see all your diplomas and social media tags and see how it goes.
Even I'll be happy to see so many diplomas after this. I hope this would be interesting, and you will be, now happy to start your journey in the RPA. And yes, I'll
Yeah.
be happy to connect with all of you on the LinkedIn if you want. Right?
Yes,
I'll be
I
happy to.
have already dropped in your LinkedIn. If you want to drop anything else, that's fine. And if not, I guess we can wrap up the session.
Okay, I have a small YouTube channel, so let me drop the.
And guys,
Okay,
yes, I'll end the session on a very common line. Do subscribe our channel and do subscribe to this channel.
please. Yeah,
So, something in the chat. That's it, guys. It was really great having you all here, the attendees, the community members, the speaker Nidhi, and see you guys soon. We'll plan something more on, like a hands-on terms on RPM, where we'll, dive deep into building some bots and see, how it goes. We'll plan. I guess we can do a series with Nidhi and other MVPs together. I guess that will be fun.
that would be real fun. Yeah, I'll be waiting. Yes.
So see you everyone. Bye bye. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.